Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about. I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information on Jadon Sancho, also going to be talking with you about Jack Grealish, and also too, I'm going to ask you, should Paul Pogba stay or should Paul Pogba go in the summer transfer window and that. And also too, I'm going to give you an update on what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out and said, because actually, he did actually reveal that Liverpool did want to sign Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, before he came to Old Trafford in 1996. So I am going to start with the news regarding Jadon Sancho. So Manchester United are convinced of getting a deal over the line for Jadon Sancho in the summer transfer window. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, who is an Italian journalist, and he actually tends to be reliable the vast majority of the time, he basically said that Manchester United have been in contact with Jadon Sancho's agent for at least 2 months, and also he has revealed that we have been working on his contract and that, but no agreement has being made, between Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund. Now, obviously, Borussia Dortmund have quoted out that they do want at least £100 million for Jadon Sancho. Maybe it could cost even £120 million. But either way, we'd have to make him a record signing in the Premier League, and we'd have to make him our most expensive signing, because our most expensive signing at the moment is Paul Pogba, who of course were paid £89 million for. Now, there has been some reports saying that, maybe Jadon Sancho may not leave Dortmund, due to the coronavirus, and maybe some teams' transfer business could be, badly affected, with this obviously, coronavirus outbreak. But there's not only been Manchester United that have been in for Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, obviously, Chelsea have been in for him. Chelsea, did confirm they're determined to pay the 120 million that Dortmund want. PSG, Real Madrid, also to Liverpool have been in for Jadon Sancho. But like I mentioned, Jadon Sancho, won't get game time week in, week out at Liverpool unless Liverpool sold one of their attacking trio. But I do believe Jadon Sancho's first choice is Manchester United, because don't forget, he came out, was it last week, and he said he wants a transfer completed in July. And I think actually, Man United are willing to offer him a contract worth around £200,000 a week. So beyond probably, the exact same amount as Marcus Rashford, because I think Rashford's on like, what, 200 odd thousand pounds a week and that. But like I've mentioned, we've been relentlessly linked with Jadon Sancho. Revert back to last year, we was in for him. The main explanation why we didn't get Jadon Sancho last year is because we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And like I mentioned, when you don't get Champions League qualification, and when you're not in Champions League, it's going to be hard to attract players to the elite level. So some people say we need qualification for the Champions League anyway to get Jadon Sancho on the board. Now, obviously, it has been confirmed today, and this is stemming from a study called CIES, and they've actually said that Jadon Sancho is the highest valued young player in the world, and reportedly he's worth around £184 million. So that's actually double than his teammate Erling Haaland. And it's actually no shame that Manchester United didn't get Erling Haaland, because obviously we went in for Erling Haaland in the January transfer window. And don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ed Woodward, of course, went over to Norway, to meet up with Erling Haaland to discuss a potential transfer to Manchester United. But if we'd got Erling Haaland in, I'd have definitely, come out and said, he would have been an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing, would Erling Haaland. But obviously, Erling Haaland just decided to join Borussia Dortmund instead. Solskjaer knows the player really, really well, because don't forget, Erling Haaland played under Solskjaer's guidance during his time with Molde, and Solskjaer was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut. So it is a shame, that we didn't get him in, because, he would have been a very, very good striker for us. He also did well during his time with Red Bull Salzburg, did the player. And plus, he was a cheap solution. I think he was available for around 16 or 17 million pounds. But if we can get Sancho in the summer, I will be very, very delighted, because I think he'll complement our attacking line, will Jadon Sancho. Because obviously he knows Rashford really, really well, because they are both English. And he just complement our attacking line, and he's a player that can score goals. Sancho is a player that can create chances. He's a player that can create chances. His runs on and off the ball are very, very good. And he's predominantly a right winger. And Manchester United are looking to bring a right winger in. Also can occasionally, play him centrally. But, Jadon Sancho would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly. Because Solskjaer has revealed he still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United like he did do last summer. Yes, and obviously, Jadon Sancho this is now his third season with Borussia Dortmund. I think he scored 30 odd goals, is it, in 90 odd appearances or something like that since he arrived. He was dropped in quite a lot of games earlier on in the season, but in his two previous seasons, I've got to say he has been a revelation. But obviously, Jadon Sancho is not going to want to spend the entirety of his career with Borussia Dortmund. From now, obviously he's going to want to move on and rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level. And I think him coming back to the Premier League would be very beneficial. Obviously, he did serve a couple of years at Man City, don't forget. So he's played in the Premier League and he's played in Manchester already. Never really got any first team opportunities at Man City. And this is the main explanation why I left City to join Borussia Dortmund. I think he's still got around 2 years remaining on his contract with Borussia Dortmund as Jadon Sancho. But I'd love him, like I mentioned, to come to Manchester United. Obviously, Sky in Germany, they came out back in February, which was last month, and they said that Jadon Sancho is expected to leave Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season. This is what it basically said. And I think he's confirmed as Jadon Sancho, that he does want to leave Borussia Dortmund. I think he's probably, or will have negotiations with Borussia Dortmund's CEO, about leaving, because this is what he said. He reiterated saying if Sancho still wants to leave, then we'll negotiate a transfer. But I think, he definitely does want to make the move to Manchester United, does the player. But Borussia Dortmund will look at it from a financial point of view and they'll go, look, we only paid 7 or 8 million for him from City, so we're going to make a huge, huge profit on the player. Because analysing how good he's been in his couple of years with Dortmund, his valuation has persistently grown and that. So yeah, revert back to what I said near the beginning of the video. This is stemming from Fabrizio Romano, who is an Italian journalist. Man United have been in talks with his agent for 2 months. And, we have been working on his contract. So this is stemming from Fabrizio Romano. And also, too, he's been recently talking with Jesse Lingard on Instagram. So that's also fueled a lot of speculation up. So, yeah, so that's the latest news on Jadon Sancho. Now, delving into news on Jack Grealish. I think I spoke to you about Jack Grealish, was it, a couple of days ago now. Obviously, I think Jack Grealish is our number one priority target for the summer. I think, it's very, very imminent that Jack Grealish will leave Aston Villa if Villa do get relegated. Now, obviously, from the way we're looking at it is, we'd actually want Villa to get relegated, so Jack Grealish would leave, and plus it wouldn't cost as much as 60 or 70 million pounds. If Villa were to avoid relegation and he was still to leave, Jack Grealish would cost in the 60 odd or 70 odd million pound range. But I think Manchester United, would be happy to pay that. And I think Jack Grealish came out a couple of weeks ago and he said he wanted around £150,000 a week, if he's to leave Villa and of course if he's to join Manchester United and that. Now, obviously, recently Rio Ferdinand did give his overarching view on, Grealish. He also put James Maddison into the equation. He believes Rio Ferdinand, from his own perception, that Jack Grealish has the edge over James Maddison and that, to be quite honest with you. He is a very, very good player, is Jack Grealish, to be quite honest with you. I think he'll follow the footsteps of James Milner and Gareth Barry, because don't forget, they're former Aston Villa players. Milner, of course, now is at Liverpool. He was at Man City at one point. So I do believe, he will move on with Jack Grealish, even if he doesn't leave this summer. Like I mentioned, up until this point, Grealish has spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. He has obviously made over 100 appearances for them, including the appearances he made when he was in the Championship with Villa. He's still got around 3 years left on his contract with Aston Villa. He's under contract with them until 2023. There's no buyout clause inserted, by the way, so that's something else I do want to confirm with you guys. I think Grealish did actually, have a loan spell with Notts County, but Grealish is predominantly an attacking midfielder, occasionally can play as a winger and that. But, I actually, would be excited about the prospects of Grealish playing alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. Because I think, they would complement each other fantastically well. But there again, I think Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes will complement each other very, very well in our midfield. Because I think even if Paul Pogba was to stay anywhere, it wouldn't affect our pursuit of Jack Grealish. No, it wouldn't affect our pursuit of Jack Grealish. But like I mentioned, if Villa don't get relegated, he will cost around 60 or 70 million pounds. So if we obviously do get Grealish, and obviously we get Jadon Sancho, it'll cost us nearly 200 million pounds. Say Sancho 120 million, Jack Grealish 70 million. That's around 180, 190 million pounds there. On two players. On two players and that. So yeah, they are two players on Manchester United's agenda. But obviously, like I mentioned, Solskjaer has identified the areas where he thinks Manchester United need to strengthen up anywhere. Obviously, he does want to recommend a centre-forward in Solskjaer. He also, wants to bring a right winger in, and he also wants to bring a central midfielder in. There was also some reports saying that he wants to bring a central defender in and that. So these still definitely deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed, and it is good that Solskjaer is making plans for the summer transfer window, but it does remain unknown whether Solskjaer is going to be Manchester United manager next season. But, the likes of Ed Woodward and the Glazers, they're obviously willing to back the signings that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recommend into the football club in the summer. But I think we probably need around 3, maybe 4 signings to become title contenders in that. So yeah, so like I mentioned, that's the news on Sancho, that's the news on Grealish. Now we'll delve into the news on Paul Pogba. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, should Paul Pogba stay at Manchester United or should Paul Pogba go? Now that is the question I am asking you. Now his future has not been resolved at the moment. Now, like I mentioned earlier on, my last video I mentioned this. I was reading the Daily Express earlier on today, and it actually says that Paul Pogba has made a Real Madrid transfer decision. Now, it's reportedly Paul Pogba doesn't want to make a move to Real Madrid, but he still wants to leave Manchester United. I think his actual preference is a return to Juventus over Real Madrid, because don't forget, Paul Pogba enjoyed 4 good years with Juventus, before obviously, he came back to Manchester United, because we paid £89 million for him back in 2016. Now, like I mentioned, Duncan Castles, who's a transfer expert, and Duncan Castles tends to be close to Man United and that. And he actually, come out and said that Paul Pogba could be set to stay at Manchester United for another year at least due to the coronavirus. I don't know, to be quite honest, because like I mentioned, reports were coming out over the weekend saying that Ed Woodward had been back in negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, to resolve his future basically, and to stop Mini Raiola making public attacks against the club, because since the turn of the year, Mini Raiola has made a lot of public attacks against Manchester United, and like I mentioned, Mini Raiola has been talking a lot as his agent Mini Raiola, and he's basically been saying he'd like to take a great footballer to Real Madrid. He also basically said that Paul Pogba is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's property. Don't forget, he criticised Gary Neville. So yeah, he has been talking a lot this year as Mini Raiola. But obviously, Mini Raiola, at least in the last couple of years, has been working on getting his client a transfer away from Manchester United completed. Like I mentioned the other week, the narratives were totally comparison to the ones that have, were coming out recently, in that they were saying that Paul Pogba was interested in staying at Manchester United, and also too he was interested in extending his contract at the club, because as it stands at the moment, Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract with Man United. It is a year with an option of a further year. Probably likely that Man United will trigger that 1 year extension on his contract, maybe to stop his £100 million valuation going down, because don't forget, we recently said we're willing to take now £100 million for Paul Pogba in the summer. So we've slashed our, asking price down by around 50 million, is it, this year? Obviously slashed it down by around 80 million from last summer, because last summer we said we wanted £180 million for Paul Pogba. But yeah, if we are to sell him, it's very imperative that we get more money than what we paid for the player. Definitely Paul Pogba will play again for Manchester United. That's something I can definitely assure. He's only played 8 games this season due to injuries, so his appearances have been limited. But Solskjaer did say, didn't he, after our 5-0 win against Lask, that Pogba would remain at the football club. So yeah, but like I mentioned, since he rejoined Manchester United from Juventus back in 2016, obviously, he's had a long-running transfer saga. This year has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Last summer, was subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Back under the Jose Mourinho era, there was a lot of talks about him leaving. And I think if Mourinho would have still been here, I actually do believe that, the top players would have gone. Pogba would have been gone. Shaw would have been gone. Anthony Martial would have been gone. Because obviously Mourinho endured 2.5 years at Man United and it didn't work out for him because he didn't get on with the top players. He didn't get on with our board and stuff like that. So these are the reasons why it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho. But, like I mentioned, we had Paul Pogba when he was a lot younger. This was back under the Alex Ferguson era we had Paul Pogba, but we ended up letting him go on a free transfer because his appearances were limited at Manchester United. And he's still, 27 years of age is Pogba. But last summer he wanted to leave Man United because he said, he was seeking for a new challenge. And he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club. So if he leaves, he'll probably, make a return to Turin. But it's good news that, he will be playing again for Man United because he had some personal coaching, by the way, with Michael Carrick the other week, did Paul Pogba. And Solskjaer's come out and revealed anyway he's excited about the prospects of Paul Pogba playing alongside Bruno Fernandes and that. But, Paul Pogba's excited about playing alongside Bruno Fernandes because Paul Pogba is aware of the impact that Bruno Fernandes has made at Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes has enjoyed a fantastic start to his Man United career. Bruno Fernandes has 3 goals, 4 assists, making a difference in the team. Very instrumental, very creative. Take him out of the equation. We're lacking that creativeness. And he's adding flair and spark in our midfield. He won the Premier League Player of the Month for February. And he's definitely the best player that Man United have recruited in since the Alex Ferguson era. And like I mentioned, we've recruited over 30-odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era. I think, he can emulate into the next Paul Scholes can Bruno Fernandes, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But definitely making the difference in the team. Manchester United paid £68 million for Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. But yeah, what a great addition to the squad he has been so far. But, like I mentioned, Dimitar Berbatov, who was a former Man United player, he actually came out and said, that Man United should keep Paul Pogba. But on the other hand, he doubts that, a partnership between Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba would work. Because, they have got similarities in styles and that. But like I mentioned, we will see what happens. But, we have got a good midfield now. When Pogba and Fernandes play together, you can say we've probably then got the best midfield in the Premier League. But you've got to credit our other midfielders as well because they've also done really, really well. I've got to give Fred a lot of credit because I think he's also done really, really well recently. He's done well under Solskjaer's guidance, to be quite honest. He's been given them opportunities that, he's been craving out for. He never really got them opportunities under Jose Mourinho, but he's done really, really well as Fred. He's very mobile, he's creating, he's scored 2 goals, don't forget, against Club Brugge, and he creates good chances in that. And I think him and McTominay in our midfield, to be fair, do complement each other fantastically well. I've got to give McTominay a lot of credit. Still very, very young. And he's been injured this season, but I think since he's come back from injury, he's replicating what he did earlier on in the season. Matic also deserves a lot of credit. Matic is a backup to Fred and McTominay, don't get me wrong in that, but there's no main explanation why we drop Matic now because Matic has recently rejuvenated himself. Obviously, don't forget he recently signed a new 1-year extension, did Matic? It was the other week we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, and Matic is now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. He's made over 100 appearances for the football club since his arrival from Chelsea. But, he's done really, really well in that, so I've got to give Matic also a lot of credit. Obviously, there's been good news that's been coming out today and yesterday night. Manchester United are set to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent basis. This is what it said, and it's revealed how much it will cost Manchester United, and it will cost us around £15 million to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. Now, obviously, Sky Sports did confirm, and Sky Sports is very reliable, they actually said that Man United are looking to extend his loan until June the 30th, because obviously, his current loan spell with Man United ends on May the 31st. So put that into the equation. But at the moment, we've got Odion Ighalo on loan, and we're paying like a third of his wages, but he deserves, we deserve to get him on a permanent transfer and we want to get him on a permanent transfer because, like I mentioned, Odion Ighalo's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. 4 goals in 3 starts, also provided a couple of assists. And like I mentioned, he's totally comparison to our other attacking players is Odion Ighalo. So he's an option of a different type of centre forward, can score goals. His hold-up play is also very, very good, and he's highly experienced. So, yeah, we should get him on a permanent transfer. But even if we do get him on a permanent transfer, I still believe that Manchester United need another centre-forward. Without a shadow of a doubt, we need another centre-forward. Because obviously, we're basically looking for an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. And we have got a lot of good attacking players, don't get me wrong. Rashford, before he got injured, he was one of our best players this season. And Ighalo is a good cover-up to Rashford, and I think Rashford is expected back in the next couple of weeks, isn't he? Because don't forget, Rashford has been out with a back injury. And up until this point, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in the senior squad since 2016. And since then, he's become an integral part of the team. Rashford, I think, scored 60-odd goals in over 200 appearances since he broke into the senior squad. And I did mention, didn't I? A lot of aspects of his game have really, really improved. Will look much better in that attacking line when Rashford does come back, by the way. Martial also, he's done really, really well for us recently. He's sustained quite a few injuries though this season as Anthony Martial. So that's probably, had a really bad effect on him. Obviously, this season, Martial has been operating in that number 9 role. He obviously, predominantly plays out wide on the left, but this season he's been playing in that number 9. So a lot of people say we should revert Martial back to the left-hand side. Martial now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. We got him from Monaco for £36 million. And Martial, I think this season he's on around 16 goals for Manchester United. There was a report emerging out not too long ago saying that Martial could leave Manchester United if we fail to get qualification for the Champions League under Solskjaer. And it reportedly said that Inter Milan had expressed an interest in Anthony Martial. And don't forget, Inter Milan have done business with us. They've obviously got 3 of our players. They got Ashley Young after he enjoyed 8.5 years at Man United. They also got Sanchez offers on loan, and like I mentioned, they did get Romelu Lukaku. But I don't see Anthony Martial going, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Mason Greenwood, he's also a very, very good attacking player for us. You can probably say he's a backup, is Mason Greenwood, to the likes of Rashford and probably Ighalo. You can say he is a backup, is Mason Greenwood. Obviously you can play him as a number 9. You can also play him on the right-hand side, Mason Greenwood. He seldom plays in the Premier League. He started a couple of games in the Premier League this season, but he tends to play more in the cup games, does Mason Greenwood. So, yeah, he's also done very, very well. And I've also got to give, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot of credit because he's recruited, 5 good players in so far. And so far, Solskjaer has enjoyed 3 transfer windows at Manchester United. And he has spent around £220 million. Obviously, last summer, Solskjaer recommended Daniel James in. Obviously, we paid £15 million for him. I'm actually surprised he's played as many games to the extent as he has done, Daniel James. Because I expect him to play, but not as many games as he has done. He enjoyed a fantastic start when he first came in. Hasn't been to his best in the last month or so. But it was good to see him end his goal drought against Lask, because that was his first goal since the 31st of August, Daniel James. You mainly see the best of James on the left-hand side, but you can put him on the right and you can also play him as an attacking midfielder. But he's still done very, very well for us. Wan-Bissaka, Man United paid $50 million for him last summer. Got to say, a lot of aspects of his game have really, really improved. Wan-Bissaka's, his defensive contribution's good. And now we've recently started to see the attacking side of his game, Wan-Bissaka's. So I've got to give him a lot of credit as well. Also, too, Harry Maguire. You can say he's addressed our defensive deficiencies. Manchester United paid £80 million for him. Harry Maguire is the most expensive centre-half in the world and the second most expensive sign at the club. and the club did make the right decision by giving Harry Maguire the captaincy on a permanent basis. We give him the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young's departure from the football club this year. And obviously now credit Solskjaer, for the 2 players he brought in January, because he brought Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo in. So far, he's brought 5 players in, he's made 4 permanent signings, and then obviously, if we get Odion Ighalo permanently, that will be his 5th permanent signing. But, like I mentioned, so far he's enjoyed 3 transfer windows here, and Solskjaer at the moment has been at Manchester United for around 15 months. So he has been at the football club now with Solskjaer over a year. And Solskjaer knows himself that if he is given another season at Manchester United, he's got, many expectations to exceed if he's to be given another season at the football club. Because he's aware this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. And I think he will be given another season at the football club anywhere, will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Because like I mentioned, we've been in a good vein of form recently. We are unbeaten in our last 11 or is it 12 games in all competitions. I think it's 11 games in all competitions, and this is our best vein of form since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager and that. And like I mentioned, we've done really, really well against the big 6 sides this season. That's something that did improve from last season, because last season weren't so good against the big 6 sides. But I've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot of credit recently. I credit him when he deserves to be credited, and he also criticise him when he deserves to be criticised. So that's just the way it is in that. I'm still very sceptical that he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. I am very, very sceptical about that. But, like I mentioned, we have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for, 30 years. But a lot of teams have been inconsistent in the league this season. We've got a few ambitions. The Europa League's an ambition for us. Transfers getting some silverware on the board. The FA Cup's an ambition for us. That's a transfers getting some silverware on the board. And we're sitting 5th in the Premier League as it stands at the moment. And we are 3 points behind Chelsea. So honestly, I would give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at least another season at the club. Earlier on this season, Manchester United were facing a relegation battle, and the club haven't been relegated since 1974, which is 40 odd years ago now. And I know that since Solskjaer got the job permanently, his record has been disastrous. Obviously, it has been disastrous, but obviously, taking into account his record at Cardiff was also disastrous. He only enjoyed the short tenure with Cardiff. He only managed around 28 or 29 games for Cardiff, but the main explanation why he got sacked from Cardiff is because he ended up, getting Cardiff relegated. But it was totally comparison at Mold, because I actually thought he did well at Mold. He did win a couple of Norwegian titles with Mold, but he's inexperienced as a manager. But the longer he stays in the job at Man United, he's gaining more managerial experience and that. And like I mentioned, he is still in the process of rebuilding. Solskjaer's managed 50 Premier League games for Manchester United. I think he's won like 24 out of 50. He's drawn 13, and I think he's lost around 13 and that. But I definitely believe he will be given another season at the football club. Like I mentioned, Solskjaer did come out, by the way, and he admitted that Liverpool wanted to sign him before he came to Manchester United in 1996. He also revealed that Bayern Munich were interested in him and a few other clubs, but he turned these clubs down because he said he only wanted to come to one team, and that was Manchester United. And like I mentioned, Solskjaer enjoyed 11 years as a player for the football club, made 366 appearances in all competitions and scored 126 goals. He won trophies with us, including 6 Premier League titles. Obviously won us the treble back in 1999. That's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as a player. So yeah, he was a very, very good player for us. So he has got that proven pedigree as a player as Solskjaer. But yeah, what a player he was. And he admitted actually, that he was mocked by Alex Ferguson in the dressing room when obviously, Ferguson did first sign him and that. And he's a legend, and he always will be a legend. But, he's now a manager, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But I hope his managerial tenure works out. But even if it doesn't, we'll never forget what he has done for the football club and that. And like I mentioned, when he came in, Solskjaer, he did say that everybody would get the chances to express themselves. He said at the start of this season, the young players would get given their opportunities. So put that into the equation. He's got a lot to do in the summer, and he's got a lot to do, when the season does resume and that. He's got a lot to do. You know, he's got to make the right decisions. He's got to have a plan A and he's got to have a plan B and that. But there's a lot to do in the summer because he's got to try and get more signings in the summer. He's also got to get rid of more players. You know, he has revealed that he wants to get rid of around 5 players in the summer, does Solskjaer. The 5 players I think we're going to get rid of, we're going to get rid of Jones, he's one. We're going to get rid of Lingard. I do believe we're definitely going to get rid of Pereira. We're going to look to get Sanchez a permanent transfer away from Man United. We're going to look to get rid of Rojo on a permanent transfer. De Gea could possibly go. Obviously, you know, there's rumours saying Dean Henderson, you know, deserves first team chances when he comes back to Man United from his loan spell with Sheffield United. But we have got a lot of good players in our squad, and like I mentioned, a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. A hell of a lot of money's been invested into the football club. Not only that, we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League. So us selling players in the summer, you know, will generate some money, it'll free up our wage bill and that. So, you know, we will see how we approach the summer transfer window. But yeah, I would, like I mentioned, I would give Solskjaer more time at the football club. But Man United have been inconsistent for several years, but we are still one of the biggest clubs in the world with a fantastic history, a fantastic fan base, most successful team in England. So yeah. So anyway, guys, drop me comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.